Good morning. In a world filled with sycophants and suck-ups, there are other options. Today, on Taub Live, I'm doing something unusual, which is to begin with my person of the day. And I think you may have already seen some of these clips, but you've not seen them this way. I'm speaking specifically of Bishop Marianne Edgar Budd, who laid the truth out there for all to see in a non-denominational worship service at the National Cathedral yesterday on Donald Trump, aka Cheeto's first full day in office. And it's a sight to behold. These words are important. And it was toward the end of her 15-minute sermon that she turned her attention and spoke directly to our president. And I wanted to share this with you. And I do have a clip of that stitched together here. But I didn't want to show you Donald Trump's face because I have promised to myself and to all of you that this is a safe space, that you will not have to hear his voice or see his face. And you know what I've been doing with still photos is just scribbling them out, using, the digital scribble function. And so I said to myself, well, what do I do with a moving image? Can I do that? And I found out that yes, I can. So here you go. This is Donald Trump being shamed in church for all the world to see. And I know that one of the features of watching something like this, you would think, is seeing the look on his face. But let me tell you, the look on his face looks pretty unhappy behind the scribbles. And you see his body language is squirming. And you see Melania looking very stern and angry. The only person, and you also see J.D. Vance trying to shoot glances over to Donald Trump, but his wife staring straight at the bishop. Wait till you hear this. Oh, and the only person in Donald Trump's family who has any amount of sort of an open and animated face is Tiffany, who apparently didn't get the memo that when her father is being insulted, she is supposed to look stern. Here we go. Let us take a listen.
Millions have put their trust in you. And as you told the nation yesterday, you have felt the providential hand of a loving God. In the name of our God, I ask you to have mercy upon the people in our country who are scared now. There are gay, lesbian, and transgender children in Democratic, Republican, and independent families, some who fear for their lives. The people who pick our crops and clean our office buildings, who labor in poultry farms and meatpacking plants, who wash the dishes after we eat in restaurants and work the night shifts in hospitals, they may not be citizens or have the proper documentation, but the vast majority of immigrants are not criminals. They pay taxes and are good neighbors. They are faithful members of our churches and mosques, synagogues, wadara, and temples. I ask you to have mercy, Mr. President, on those in our communities whose children fear that their parents will be taken away, and that you help those who are fleeing war zones and persecution in their own lands to find compassion and welcome here. Merciful to the stranger. For we were all once strangers in this land. May God grant us the strength and courage to honor the dignity of every human being, to speak the truth to one another in love, and walk humbly with each other and our God for the good of all people in this nation and the world. Amen.
Yeah, right on. Um, I want to speak to you, and I'm going to leave this shot right up here for a second. What a loving leader she is, um, and what an incredibly powerful and courageous sermon. Now, I want you to look with me at this photo. And I see why J.D. Vance's wife, Usha, now I see why she leaves her hair always covering one eye. If J.D. Vance is sitting to her right, he cannot send her signals that she should. I don't know what he wanted her to do, but during the portion when the bishop, Marian Edgar Beebe, was praising immigrants as being mostly lawful, law abiding, tax paying citizens, you could see JD being uncomfortable. Now you look at this at the very end. Let's look at this tableau. Could be a painting. Well, here Don Jr. is looking down. Eric always had the squint at the entire time. Laura was staring and making no facial expressions, which could be the Botox. Tiffany, a lovely Tiffany with her cascade, her lioness cascade of hair. She was looking up in wonder, listening to the words of the bishop, feeling them. I saw that in her. And then, of course, J.D. Vance glowering. Anyway, it was a beautiful thing, and I could watch it again and again, but I can only watch it when his face is scribbled out, and notably, he is not speaking. Now, you may say to yourself, well, and some people have said, that's not going to sink in. Well, that message did hit him. That message landed not just for us, but for Donald Trump. Because immediately upon leaving this service at the National Cathedral, he was asked by the press about what he thought of the sermon. And he kind of brushed it off at first and said something, oh, it could have been better, something like that. But he could not hold in his anger. He could not just accept that narcissistic injury because it's all about him, not about the people she was trying to direct his attention to direct our attention to, especially children and adults, I believe, who are gay, bi, transgender, etc., who are now under threat. It's scary for people right now, and she expressed that. I know we feel anger, and you've seen me throw around the F-bomb around here. But I think my frustration and anger, whether it be at Donald Trump or at Merrick Garland, is all about fear and frustration because they cannot be reached. Now, he wasn't reached, but it landed as an insult. And here is how I know. He couldn't hold it in. A little after midnight, early this morning, he took to Truth Social. And I should put that in quotes, Truth Social. And let's take a look at what he put up there on the screen. And I just realized, unfortunately, my friends, actually, I don't think his face is actually on there. Okay, good. His face is obscured. Let's take a look at what he said on Truth Social. And I'm just going to read it in a sarcastic voice, but not his. The so-called bishop who spoke at the National Prayer Service on Tuesday morning was a radical left, hardline Trump hater. She brought her church into the world of politics in a very ungracious way. She was nasty in tone and not compelling or smart. She failed to mention the large number of illegal immigrants that came into our country and killed people. Many were deposited from jails and mental institutions. It is a giant crime wave that is taking place in the USA. Apart from her inappropriate statements, the service was a very boring and uninspiring one. She is not very good at her job. She and her church owe the public an apology. It landed. It landed. Now, allow me with you to unpack the idiocy for a moment, to suggest that she brought her church into the world of politics. Bishops and other clergy speak about the issues of the day. They shouldn't be, because they are non-profits, engaging in electioneering, supporting particular candidates. That's not what was going on here. Furthermore, if he had bothered to read the Sermon on the Mount or knew anything about Christianity, which is the religion he claims to be part of, he would understand, or even Judaism or any language. There's always any religion. At the foundation of most religions, world religions, is respect for the stranger, and certainly Jesus. I mean, I am feeling like, and because I'm Jewish, I think of Jesus as a prophet. I would think if the prophet Jesus gave the sermon, he would be saying the same thing. If Jesus had given this sermon, Donald Trump would be calling him a radical left hippie with long hair and questioning his gender. I mean, for God's sake, quite literally, who does this man think he is? And she will never give an apology. If she gives an apology to him, it would not be a straight apology. She would say, I'm sorry that hearing the truth about what is happening in America and hearing that the power that you have to affect the lives of Americans and people across the globe is hard for you to hear and to face up to. That's the only apology that is due. Because I, myself, am sorry that the message landed but did not reach him. He is a complete crybaby and a menace. Now, I promise you we're getting to PRISM today. And the new thing, guys, PRISM. Actually, let's just do it real quick now. Not real quick, but I want to just tease it out. We have a new design Michael has worked on. Let me blow this up. I love it. I love it. So Taub Live, and I love how the PRISM rainbow actually looks like it is coming out of a prism. And remember what PRISM is. We are now PRISM mates. We're not in prison the next 4 years. We're in PRISM, PRISM together. And I wasn't loving the whole Taubster thing that we were calling ourselves because it felt a little egocentric even for me. So I do like us being PRISM mates. And let me tell you what this stands for again. What we are seeking to build together and in our own souls is physical health, relational health, intellectual health, spiritual health, and mental health. And what I want to tell you also is, I know folks were saying, and I'm going to collapse this a little bit. Folks were saying to me when I showed the mock-up of the mug, they're like, I want one of those. And I gotta say, so do I. So I took this new design, and I am getting a prototype sent, and I think it's gonna arrive next week. And I will drink out of it. And if it looks good, guys, I'm letting you know now because I got so many people who have asked. And when I say so many, that seems like a lot, right? It's what the public wants. So I am going to try to figure out a way to make these available, because what's really cool is the way the mug would work is you would see, when you would look at the mug, I'm going to just move this, you would actually see the steps of PRISM on one side. And I think you guys, I can actually show you. Let me just, oh my goodness. Let me see. Oh, Nope, I don't think I have it. I was gonna try to show it to you, but I've already ordered it. When it comes in, I will drink with the mug. And if you are all still really interested, I will find a way to make them affordable and available through, I guess there's a link to Shopify that I can set up. So I'm super excited about that. Now let's actually talk about PRISM real quick. Our first step in being PRISM mates together was we had a members only Zoom call. And I think there are over 100 members of the website, and there are different levels of membership. I think there's two. There's like a regular member, and I think the next level is something like Gen Extra, like JENX, as opposed to GENX, Gen Extra. And I don't even know how this works. I just set them up a while ago, and I don't remember. But we had a special Zoom. And what was incredible, it was a group of 20 people who came. And it was incredible to me to see who we are. And I think this reflects not just who you are, but just real quick. We had several nations represented. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different nations represented among 20 people, including myself. So we had the United States. We had someone from Spain, Morocco, Japan, Norway, and Canada. In terms of states, I jotted down these states: Wisconsin, Tennessee, Illinois, New York, Michigan, and Massachusetts, and Virginia. I'm probably missing a state. What we also found out is what interesting backgrounds we all have in terms of what we're interested in, maybe what we studied when we are younger, our hobbies, our careers, and even our pets. We actually had a gorgeous rescue tortoise who I think should be the mascot of our group. And we had people who are professional musicians, who play for fun. I think there's a flautist, someone who plays a trombone. We had an adorable little dog. What is the point of all of this? I didn't expect it. This is a show where we talk about mostly law, a little snark, some politics. But what I found out is how much we actually need PRISM from each other. We need physical, relational, intellectual, spiritual, and mental health. And I didn't fully understand that what we were doing was relational health. What we are doing in these Zooms, which will be monthly, and even on the show, I believe, is relational. And I know there's this expression called parasocial relationships. I don't know if you guys have heard of this. That's where, like, you watch a television show or you see someone who has suffered, and you relate to them. You feel like you know them because you see them. And this is a phenomenon. And if you're on the other side of it, like ever since I started doing a lot of social media, people will come up and say hello, and they know things about me that I didn't realize someone who I don't know would know. But I'm not offended by that. I get it. If I put myself out there, you get that you may know me. But parasocial relationships are one-sided. And what feels really good about having these monthly Zooms is that I see you. I made the mistake of not giving the link to Susan. So I did not meet Susan in person, but I met our other two not mods, Deb and Jason, and so many others of you. I'm not going to say each of your names, but it was unbelievable to be able to, it wasn't just seeing your faces because you can see someone's face on their avatar. It was hearing your voices and really seeing you all. And I want to keep doing that, so we have real relationships. Now, a little bit back to this. I think what we need to talk about, starting first then, is about physical health. Because what we can do with our bodies that carry around our souls to keep them healthy will help keep our minds and our souls healthy. So that's something I haven't quite figured out. I used to be one of those people trying to get 10,000 steps a day, and then it always slides in winter, or I've got some other excuse, and I think it's maybe too much for me. And I think for me, my goal this week, and maybe next Wednesday, I'll report back to you. My goal this week is just to go for one walk a day. That's it. One walk outside a day, because some days I don't leave my house. If I'm not teaching that day, sometimes I just sit around. Okay, relational help, we're kind of building that here, but I want to say I'm also looking around at people in my life who I'm making time for. Yes, I have deadlines or this or that, but life is too short not to have that cup of coffee with your closest friend who you might not see for months. Intellectual health, you'll have to tell me, we'll work on that, what we're doing to fill our minds with great art, whether it's a streaming show or a book or music. Spiritual health, my friends, I think we just got our sermon. I think we just got our sermon from the Bishop of Washington from the National Cathedral. And as for mental health, I don't know about that one. I think it's all tied to the rest of them. So I want to be not an amateur at this. I'm kind of talking about what I'm doing, but I want you to think about what you're doing. And I want to bring expertise to each of these. What do experts say about mental health during a time of political upheaval and fascism? So I'm going to bring some of that to you. Things like mental health, about what is it, how do we manage a completely narcissistic and sadistic leader, right? These are the prongs that we will use, PRISM. Okay, now let us pivot to, and I want to do this, my person of the day. And it could have been the bishop, but I've got somebody else. I have someone else who is absolutely standing up and speaking truth. And as we say, not taking part in the lie. The simple step of a courageous individual is not to take part in the lie. Alexander Solzhenitsyn from Gulag Archipelago. And this is young-ish now, member of Congress, who could be the future of the Democratic Party if we would only understand that we're all in this together. And that is Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez. And here she is. I believe this was a TikTok video originally, but a very simple video with a powerful message.
States of America. And I don't care what Elon Musk is doing behind a presidential seal. In this country, we hate Nazis. Kind of like a foundational defining thing. Two of probably the most foundational defining things about American history is that we beat the Confederates and we beat the Nazis. And I don't know what side people may be on today, but I still am not rocking with anyone sympathetic to Nazis. And I will do that until I am 6 feet in the ground. Like, kind of foundational to me as a human being. And so
that's it. Foundational. It's a sad story that we have actually moved the Overton window so much, and I'm going to mix metaphors, that we actually have to have a litmus test around, one, was that a Nazi salute from Elon? And two, does it matter? And the answer is yes and yes, it does. And this is a defining moment because we are now, remember, in a place where Elon has not denounced it. He has done the Darvo, right? The accusation. How dare you accuse me of that, right? I think you know what Darvo is. It's a technique that is used often against women who accuse their partners of domestic or sexual violence or strangers of it. And Darvo, I feel like I'm full of the acronyms, but Darvo stands for deny, attack. So you deny that you did this. You say, no, of course it wasn't. It wasn't a Sig Heil. You attack. You attack the person who calls you out. You attack their credibility. So this is Darvo, you reverse the victim and the offender. He was the one who performed the Nazi salute twice at the US president's inaugural ceremonies. So deny, attack, reverse victim and offender, right? And that is Darvo. reverse victim and offender is RVO. So he is engaging in the classic Darvo. And there are people who are defending him. And should it surprise you, because the same people who are defending Elon Musk still defend the rapist, Donald Trump. The rapist, according to the judge who adjudicated, the judge who presided over the sexual assault and defamation trial, who concluded and spoke publicly that yes, the sexual abuse charge for which he was found liable is the equivalent of rape. So yes, Donald Trump is not just an adjudicated rapist. He is a credibly accused sexual assaulter by other women who testified at that trial, who the jury believed. And he, of course, is a convicted felon. So what are we even talking about? We're talking about a cult and people who have lost their sense of humanity. But it's not all of us. It's not even most of America. Remember, a huge portion of people didn't vote, but it's too many people who support this. Now, she is my person of the day, but there is a runner-up here, and I need to talk to you about the pardons of the more than 1,500 people and more than a dozen who had their sentences commuted. And we talked about that a bit this week, but I want to share with you Officer Mike Fanone's reaction, because you remember, this is the courageous officer who spoke out at the January 6th committee hearings. This is a man who we saw almost die. He was tasered, he was injured, he was dragged. We have seen him on video. In this instance, he has tremendous PTSD, and the person who attacked him is free. Let's listen to him speak to Anderson Cooper about that.
That being said, right now, I think that the Republican Party owns a monopoly on hypocrisy when it comes to supporting or their supposed support of law enforcement. Because tonight, the leader of the Republican Party pardoned hundreds of violent cop assaulters.
I mean, there you go. And what does that mean? I thought they backed the blue. And so, of course, yesterday, Donald Trump held a press conference, and I won't share with you images or his voice, but I will share with you what he said. And he was asked by a reporter, I'm quoting from Aaron Rupert, who's fabulous over on Blue Sky. You should follow him. Aaron says, reporter, you would agree it's never acceptable to assault police officers? Donald Trump says, sure. Reporter, among those you pardon is a guy who used a stun gun on a police officer. Why does he deserve a pardon? And Donald Trump said, well, I don't know. That's what he gets away with. That is what he gets away with, right? Now let's talk about the grift. And we know why he pardoned everybody, because there was huge pressure on him to do so. Plus, when you pardon people who commit violent crime to help you stay in office, what you are saying is you'll pardon anyone who commits violent crimes to help you, right? This is him creating his, off the books police force, right? He is his little paramilitary unit of Proud Boys. So in addition to violence, I mean, Donald Trump is all about ego and money. But just like a mob boss, you also need people to violently enforce your will. And here we go. Let's talk about the grift. He was also asked, because he's been selling this bogus crypto coin and God knows what else, these Bibles, even though he didn't put his hand on a Bible when he was sworn in. Okay, reporter, do you intend to continue to sell products that benefit you personally while you're president? Trump, well, I don't know if it benefited. I don't know where it is. I don't know much about it other than I launched it. I heard it was very successful. I haven't checked it. Oh, sure. Are you fucking kidding? Oops, I'm trying to not say that. Are you actually kidding me? Do you not think that he doesn't know that his coin is this meme coin isn't making him money? Well, let's look at a little more details about this, because you might be curious. Okay, let's look at this. I'm going to pull this up from today because I think you need to see what is going on. So part of it is he is a grifter, but he's also being ridiculed. Let's take a look at what is going on with Donald Trump's meme coin. Okay, let us look. I think I've got this, and let me blow it up for you. Okay, here we go. And I want these. Obviously, you can see I can't get rid of these ads here, but oh well. Let's look. Trump's meme coin is a reminder of crypto's dumbest use case. And President Donald Trump promised crypto investors he'd usher in an era of legitimacy for an industry that's long been relegated to the financial wilderness. Dismissed by some mainstream investors as a highly speculative bet at best, or an elaborate Ponzi scheme at worst. But days before his inauguration, Trump shocked many of his crypto supporters by peddling a digital token known as a meme coin, a functionally worthless asset that trades on hype and are a go-to vehicle for scams known as rug pulls. That's a pump and dump scheme, is a rug pull, where you pump up the price because you have your friends buy into it, and then you sell, pulling the rug out from under people. To be clear, not all meme coins are scams. And the strump is what I call it, but the dollar Trump and dollar Melania coins appear to have safeguards built in to prevent a rug pull. Specifically, the Trump's coins website says its majority holders are subject to 3-year unlocking schedule, so they can't sell all at once. Okay, sure. But even without selling a single token, the Trump org has raked in an estimated $58 million in a single day in trading fees alone. Okay, so I'm just letting you know that maybe he made billions. Those were just the trading fees we talked about. Donald Trump certainly knows he's trying to cash in, and there are lots of people in the crypto world who are furious with him, because there's no there with this coin. It's just a speculative investment based on him promoting it. And who knows, even if the people who bought into it have to sell on a schedule, if they bought really low, does it even matter? If they don't, if they sell a huge chunk, it still could drive the price down eventually. Okay, so he is a huge grift. Now, where we are now is at a place where I love to land. And it is, of course, Crazy Town. So let's do it. I think these are quasi jazz hands. Okay. Crazy Town is that Donald Trump is actually getting members of Congress to do his bidding to try to give him the authority to invade Greenland. So let's listen to this dude. His name is Andy Ogles. He's a rep from Tennessee. Here we go.
Gives President Trump the...
Hold on.
You recently introduced a bill. It gives President Trump the congressional authority to acquire Greenland. Tell us more about this.
Well, for some, that may sound a little bit crazy, but actually the United States has been eyeing Greenland for over 100 years. Strategically, when you look at it, it's wealthy in resources. And when you see increased activity with Russia and China in the Arctic Circle and the increased activity with the shipping lanes, it's important for the United States to assert itself and say, look, this is our doorstep. This is our area of operation. And we are, quite frankly, the dominant predator, cop, if you will, but it's
we are the dominant predator. Okay, I'll keep listening.
Important that we fight back against China and send them back to their own hemisphere.
Okay, what the F? This guy is saying that because this land is strategically important to us, we just need to take it to protect ourselves. I mean, that would be like me saying that I think having a Democrat in the White House is strategically important for my life. And I just come in with a bunch of yahoos and take it. Oh, Donald Trump tried to do that. No, but I mean me. Like, what if I just said, having Kamala Harris be president would be much better for me. So I'm going to take a bunch of weapons into the White House and take it over. That's actually not how things work. And it's kind of sick. So that is our crazy town for today. I'm planning to have a guest tomorrow at 9. More on that in the thumbnail. Thanks, guys, for listening.